Hi, folks. Thank you for joining us after the premiere of episode 274. Hello, Karma and Al Snide. Allie. Okay, sorry. Um, It's a lot going on in front of me here. I just always like to explain to everyone. So, yeah, Karma, that was a lot of views. We had over 400 people at one point. The highest I saw it was 405, but I had other things going on, so I might have missed a little bit. I do want to check one more time to see if there's any messages I might have missed. I see at the end of the premiere, Janet Walker said, "You sweet lady, Heather was blessed to have you as a mom. Addiction is baffling, unpredictable, and so unfair. Thank you so much for sharing her story and yours." So there's 150 people still watching. The premiere, it's not exactly synchronized. We're not all seeing exactly the same second of the story at the same time. We're we're off. Anyway, so let me just I'm gonna put the link to the live in with all these people who are still watching, just so they have it. Now, so so Allie, hello, thank you for being here. Viola, welcome. Viola, good to see you here again. And Karma. Brenda is a storyteller, but she's not in the series. Brenda is a storyteller's champion. She is gold in terms of keeping people aware of keeping people aware of what's happening, aware of our stories. She does a lot to spread the stories. And maybe one day she'll be a storyteller. Maybe. She has some good stories. Brenda says, Karma, I hope to be a storyteller in the future when my emotions are regulated and my drug damaged brain is healed. Uh, where's the fun in that? You know, you can stories do get uh, emotionally unregulated. You can handle that. And as far as your drug damaged brain goes, I don't know. How do you care? Look who's here. It's Brad. So I just think how grateful I am, Brad, to be younger than you, and that. Wow. So, and thinking of being younger than you, Brad's a good guy. Brad's a good guy. I'm always grateful for Brad to be here because that means I'm not the oldest person in the room, and so I'm always thrilled for Brad to be here and Carla also. So let me catch up. Let me go back a little bit because uh, let's see. Brenda's on 339, free from illicit fentanyl. I couldn't have done it. Mhm. I think you mean without the support. I couldn't have done it without the support of everyone associated with TPD. Grateful to be alive and here with you all on this Sunday evening. Very glad you're here. Hello, Robin Simmons. Thank you for joining us. I don't think I recognize your name. I don't know how I missed your comment when I said hello to Allie, but evidently I did. So, what else do we have going on? When she is ready. That's right, Allie. When she is ready. There's no pressure. And I saw we have another. Well, I saw her. Tabitha. There you are. I am most deeply impacted by the raw, real versions of people's stories because I think it has a profound impact. I'm 20 years into recovery, and my daughter, Kaylee, died from fentanyl poisoning in February. That that's very recent and so tragic. So Tabitha had contacted me through Facebook and asked about sharing her story. And so I told her a little bit about it. Uh, uh, I know Brad is here, and Brad's a storyteller. Carla, I don't know if you're here. Are there any other storytellers that are here in the group with us right now? I see that there is. I wish there was a way to give storytellers a special icon. That'd be cool. That would be useful. Hello, double shot bartender twin. You and your pink hand. So you guys remember to give a thumbs up to this event also, and the story that just finished. Rhea Hayes says, Brenda Miller, congratulations, wishing you good health and happiness always, Ontario, Canada. Tabitha, yes, her story is important to share. She began using after suffering extreme postpartum depression symptoms. Brianna is asking Brad, which story is his? It is Rain's story. Carla and Brad are both in Rain's story. See, there you go. He's just a little slower to answer. Uh, thank you, Allie. Allie, did you have a different name not long ago, Amy? So, Brad, seriously, could you share a little bit about what the process was like doing doing the interview? Everybody, the whole family was there, and it was a very fresh, raw time. What was it like for you guys? Can you share with Tabitha a little bit about what it was like for you guys to share your story and the process, that kind of thing? Just well, congratulations, Allie. Very happy for you. Good job. Yes, Brad, I'd love to. And Tabitha, we also have Rain was Brad's granddaughter. Carla is Brad's daughter. So Tabitha, I'm gonna share with you a link if I can. I'm assuming I can make this happen here. It's a little complicated, technology and all of that. So, mm. so what I'm going to share is a link to a page on our website that talks about the experience of sharing your story, what's involved, There's the link. Talks about what uh yeah, I swear so soon after her death it was very difficult to finish. Yeah, I'm sure it was. I remember the first time I met Carla was was there in San Antonio doing the interview. The first time I saw her, I think, was when she was seated in the chair in front of the camera and ready to do her interview. And okay, so Tabitha, yeah, if you look at the link that I posted, it'll show some information about the process of sharing your story, and it goes over what to share, what to bring, and there are some different video clips of people talking about the experience when they gave their interviews from past interviews, and we have more of those kind of interviews, behind the scenes interviews shot that we just haven't edited them yet. So we're working on that. Let me back up here. I know I'm missing stuff. Uh, Rain was so young. Yeah. Allie says, God bless all the storytellers and thank you for sharing. And Glenn, thank you for the well wishes. Karma says, I believe Glenn looks so young and healthy because he's living and speaking the truth. Okay. Or maybe it's because I'm a professional photographer and I know how to make lighting be as flattering as possible for a person. Uh, or maybe y'all are just yanking me. So, Jeanette Martinez. Hello from Puerto Rico. My son survived his addiction and God blessed him with a beautiful daughter. She turned 3 years old yesterday. Namis Jeanette LVMADD uh, LV Mad. Help me understand what that means. LV Mad. LVMADD. Is that mad like Mothers Against Drunk Driving? And, and VOS. Miss Sheila says, I am going to watch the Heather story again because I was distracted by a phone call. I can say something about Heather's story. It was a bit more haunting for me. The the footage that she shared from the quite vividly showed the descent that Heather went through. It's it's extremely powerful. As you watch it, you keep wanting to try to find the breaks, wanting to find where you can stop the stop the train from going where it's obviously going. It's powerful. They're all powerful, but there was something extra haunting about that one. It seemed to me. So what else? So what else is there? Is there other feedback that some of you viewers have to share about the story? Shaky Bean says that hit hard. So you saw the premiere, I'm guessing, right? Tabitha, it's a bone chilling reality and it's so important for us not to look away from it. I agree that it is so. Every time someone shares a story, everybody grows. Everybody. The storyteller and the audience, the listener, the viewer, the whatever. Everybody grows. And whatever the story is about gets a little bit more value. It is one of the great things about the reward I get from from being a part of creating these stories is that I get to I get to turn some I get to turn people's tragedy into something that to do something that pulls a little bit of value out of their tragedy. And the process is wonderful. Prayers for Heather's mom. Yeah, Brad. Yeah. Yeah, we've got coffee cups. We've got and we're gonna do something about our store real soon. There's a wonderful ceramic coffee cup here that has the Texas Pictures logo on it. And on the other side, stories that matter. So, okay, Maximus, I want to share my story about my son Joey, 31 years old, gone a month ago. Where are you at, Maximus? What part of the country or what part of the world are you in? Hello, Carla. Thanks for joining us. We have Carla. We have Tabitha with us. You can see she has a message right above yours, and and Tabitha is wanting to share her story of losing her child. Of course, I had a phone call right now, and it's an actual uh, uh, event coordinator. I forget where she's at. Maybe Mississippi. We'll be shooting there soon. So so Carla, if you could share with Tabitha a little bit about what the experience was like sharing your story. There is there's two parts to sharing the story. There is the story, which is of course terribly painful, and then there is the process. And so, yeah, Brad, I want to settle them too. I used to have two of them. Now I'm down to one. And I like that. Okay, let me catch up. Viola, Tabitha, Carl. Wow, hope you guys couldn't hear that. Maximus, where you at? Where you at? I want to share my story. Where are you, Maximus? Where in the country? Where in the world? Da, da, da. Laguna. What? Okay, California. That helps a lot. Laguna. Give me a. Is that like kind of near Los Angeles, San Diego, San Francisco, Bakersfield, Sacramento? We have had quite a few inquiries from California, and we are likely to go back to California and record more stories there. Possibly this year. We have some other stuff that we are probably going to have to go to California for as well, and so we will likely make something happen sometime soon. Jeanette, lived stories are important to share. People's stories are stories of hope for others battling with this ungodly disease. Brianna says we never hear anything about how California is affected by fentanyl. And I don't know, maybe there is, we shot stories in California and we have shot stories in Arizona where people from California came to Arizona to share their story with us. And so there are stories, and I know that California recently passed a couple of laws to address between Orange County and LA and San Diego. Orange County between LA and San Diego. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, we've had some of those. So let me talk about the best way to stay current on what we have going on is to join our private Facebook group if you're on Facebook. And so to do that, you can email me and we can try the email route. But people tell me that when the email link through Facebook, I can send an email link, but people tell me that the link doesn't work. So if you friend me, then if you friend me on Facebook, find me by name. Can't miss my name; it's on the screen right now. If you find me by name and friend me, and then send me a message in Facebook Messenger reminding me to invite you to the private Texas Pictures group for storytellers. Inside that group, there's about 550 or so members right now, and a little less than half of them are people who are already storytellers, people who have shared their stories with us already. And the rest of them are people who want to share their story at some point, whenever they're in the right place or whenever we get to what part of the country we're in, what part of the country they're in. Everything that we do gets announced in the group first. Anytime we have a storytelling summit anywhere in the country, it gets announced there first, and people have a chance to sign up to do an interview. LA Fitness of Alice. Okay. I don't know what to make of that, Carla. Fitness of Alice. Brenda Miller says, Jeanette, you're absolutely right. I use all the different stories on TPD to keep me clean of fentanyl. I cherish each and every storyteller and people in chat who encourage me without judgment. Brenda, are you in our group? You should be. Carla says, Glenn is very patient and listens as you navigate through your emotions during the storytelling process. It is, it's gentle, and with most storytellers, they seem to be feeling a little bit lighter after the process is done. Mm. Miss Sheila says I'm in your Facebook group and I love it, Glenn. Your wife welcomed me and other new members. I plan to share my son's story after his investigation is over. Very good. Gee, Fred, I don't know. I think it might be a little bit of a leap to say that our program influenced anything that substantial. And there are so many, there's so many organizations out there now working hard to bring awareness about fentanyl and about drug overdose and all of these dangers that it would be a real challenge to figure out what groups deserve the credit for whatever progress is happening now. It'd be real hard to figure out what groups deserve the credit. I don't think it's us, but there are great groups out there like Fentanyl Fathers and Lost Voices of Fentanyl and tons of others. But I can tell you which groups do not deserve any credit. I can think of two groups that deserve no credit at all: the Republican Party and the Democratic Party. This crisis began in 2013. 2013. The crisis spans four administrations and includes both parties. So there's a lot of people who deserve credit for whatever progress is happening. But it is not them. They're just reacting. All right. I hope I didn't lose too many people right there. Allison McCall. Well, we are. I don't know how to answer that, but really, we just had a premiere of one of our fentanyl poisoning stories on our channel, and after the premiere, we oftentimes do these live events. So, some of the people that are in this live event in the chat are people who watched the premiere. Is a story that's about 30 minutes long, 34 minutes long, I believe, and it was told by a mother who lost a daughter to fentanyl and to addiction. Really, that it's quite a sad descent that in the story that she told. So that's what we are. We have a series of stories about fentanyl poisoning, a series of stories about addiction recovery, one about human trafficking, one about domestic violence. So that's us. And so thanks for stopping by. Hope you stay. Tabitha, it's ridiculous. Of course it is. Karma, hey, risk, just keep breathing. So so shaky beans. Here's the thing that happens when I see your name. In my head, I always read it as stinky beans. I'm not trying to. I'm not. It's not any sort of. I, I don't know. It's just what I see. Let me see where I'm at. Risk says two people I know of have recently been charged with manslaughter for supplying fentanyl. My state is cracking down. Yeah, it is a reaction. Can you give Maximus? I don't understand what you're asking to give. Allison, very very sorry for your loss. We have made over 270 stories about losses like that. There are other people in the chat right now who have also lost a child to fentanyl. So, Shaky Beans, what are you asking me about alcoholism? Well, thank you for being here, Allison. You should if you maybe you've seen some of our stories already. If you've done any kind of searching for fentanyl poisoning, things like that, then I feel kind of confident that one or two of our stories would probably pop up in your feed. Allison, you we have a private Facebook group that is made up of people who have shared stories with us and people who wish to share stories with us. And I certainly encourage you to uh, send a request on Facebook. You got to be my friend. Got to be my Facebook friend. Do I have stories on alcoholism? Is that what you're asking? So we don't have any stories on alcoholism. We don't have any that focus specifically on alcoholism, but many of our stories make reference to alcoholism. Many of the fentanyl stories have well, maybe not many, but a substantial amount of the fentanyl poisoning stories have someone in the immediate circle of the victim who is an alcoholic. And we do have quite a few stories on our channel. We have a playlist of stories that are about impaired driving, which is primarily about drinking, but it's not specifically about alcohol. We're totally open to doing stories about alcoholism. No one has approached us. All of the topics that we cover are topics that some viewer, someone approached us and said, "Hey, what about a story about this? I have a story that I'd like to share." And that's where it begins. All right, so I really need to catch up on messages here because clearly I'm not talking fast enough. So, Allison, yeah, it was no coincidence. I feel like I should be checking my Facebook page just to see what I'm missing because I I have some messages and Allie. Well, I think I know who this Allie is, even though it's a different last name. I'm pretty sure that I'm just gonna go with it. It came 11 minutes ago. So Dan Cat Carr. Dan Cat Carr, are you in the group here? If you are, then I'll just accept it. Okay. Oh my gosh, I'm behind here. Sorry. Did you find out anything about bath salts? No, Brad, I haven't. I know they exist and I know they're terrible. And I'm gonna open them. Okay, I'm sorry. I got holy cow. I've got it. I'm working on it. Really, I am I am on it like a rat on a Cheeto. So okay, let me just there we go. So I am just gonna invite someone to join us. And let's see. Okay, did you find anything about Allie Snyde? My name is Daniel, and Joey's dad lost him a month ago. I am over 4 years. Where am I? Dan Cat Carr, are you here? I don't know that I. Allie, Daniel, you'll be in my prayers. Karma, what? Carla says, Brianna, I tried it, but it didn't help. Nothing does. Nothing can bring her back. Carla, you gotta keep in mind Rain's wishes, Rain's hopes for you. You're not with her now, but you'll be with her again. And until you're with her again, you're for her. I wish I could find a better way to tell you this. Rain matters. She still matters. And every time you do something that brings awareness about Rain's story, you make her matter more. It's so important. You're a hero. I know that's not what you want. That's what you've got. It's so important, Carla. It really is. So I'll go over and join the group. That was me. Dan Cat Carr, Allie, is that you? Is that what you're telling me? Maximus, uh, thank you, Allie. Same here. That's me, Dan Carr. Maximus, okay, thank you. All right. Dan Cat Carr. That's me. Yeah, you spelled it wrong. I'm looking at it right here. And it doesn't matter. Okay. So uh, just because I accepted the request, I'll you have to remind me to. You still got to remind me to invite you to get into the private group or uh, contact anyone who's in the group. I lost my daughter to fentanyl 9 years ago. Linda, 9 years ago. How you doing? Your work name. That's interesting. So there are four types. Brianna says there are four types of grief therapy: cognitive behavioral therapy, acceptance and commitment therapy, and individual or group therapy. And so finding a pathway, a therapy that helps you is an individual thing. You have to use your own process of elimination or use your own reasoning skills to take you down the pathway that'll get you there. Miss Sheila, good everyone, and I look forward to the future lives here. You're all very encouraging to hang out with. My grief seems to stop for a moment. I'm so glad someone said that because a lot of times when we record these interviews, it seems that way to me that the person I'm interviewing by the end of their by the end of the interview, it's not that their grief is gone. It'll never be gone, but they're a little bit better. And maybe it only lasts for a little while, but that's still a big thing. And I get to see that happen just over and over and over. So Tabitha says to Brad, the me before my daughter died no longer exists. She died with my sweet Kaylee. I hope I'm saying that right. Maximus says, Allison, thank you. Linda, it's been 9 years and the pain is still real. It, it doesn't go away. I think that the best that you can hope for is for it to become easier to live with. It's just such an unfair kind of loss. I can tell you guys a story. We were working on a project for Mothers Against Drunk Driving, and it was very similar to these stories, these fentanyl stories, in that we were interviewing families that lost someone to a drunk driver. And much like the fentanyl thing, Mad had us travel all over the country. And so while we were doing that, and Mad, well, it's Mad. They're big. And so they had a kind of an application process for the people that we interviewed, and the Mad staff would pick out which ones for us to talk to, and they would uh, talk with me now and then about about the choices, and it was collaborative, but they very much had their so my there was one story that they wanted us to shoot. It was in Sacramento, California, and the the parents lost their daughter, who I believe was 13 or 14 years old. She was riding in a car that was struck by another car who was being driven by a drunk driver. And when I looked at this story initially, looked at the paperwork, the story happened in 1983. It was it happened 40 years ago. And I didn't think it was worthwhile. I thought it was too long ago to be impactful. I was wrong. I was wrong that when I interviewed the mother, she talked us through the whole story. She cried like it happened a week ago. And so I heard from her I heard from her daughter, who was in the room during the interview. We got an email from her a week or so later saying thank you. And she said that that was the first time her mother had ever talked about it. I, I didn't know that. Anyway, so I digress. Let's get back with you guys. So, Brad, yeah, Lindenwood, it's been 9 years and the pain is still real. Just trying to figure out how to be in the land of the living. We are our children's voices now. Now, Tabitha, that's I think that's part of it, or it certainly can be part of it. There has got to be a there's something. It's better than therapeutic. It is a life saving kind of thing to do stuff that really increases people's awareness of the dangers of illicit drugs, of fentanyl, of whatever your story is about. And so, Tabitha, you just have to embrace those moments. There is, when we have these storytelling summits, most of the time, at the end of the day, every day, the summits typically go 2 days, and at the end of the day, every day, we all go somewhere for dinner. We have dinner, me and my wife, if she's there, and however many storytellers can make it, we all go we all go to dinner somewhere. And it is beautiful. It is gold to be a part of that bit of magic that happens at whatever restaurant we're at. That this table of pain, the people connect with each other. They find reason to laugh now and then. They bond and they grow. A lot of times the people at the table were strangers that morning, and everybody is talking like they're close friends now. And so those moments like that, it doesn't have to be a table full of people who have a similar loss, but those moments like that are the human moments that are worth living for, working for, and sharing. So, Tabitha, that's now, Tabitha. We also have two stories on our channel that are about dealing with grief, and it could be that I can share a link for those as well. It could happen. It's not just a dream. Here's one. Grief feels like crazy. Here's a link that I can share. Uh, I guess that worked. There it is. Okay. Maximus, you don't know how to get into the private group. If you send me a message in Facebook Messenger, Christina, are you here? Okay, sorry. Shoemake, I'm sorry for your loss. I'm sorry you lost Tristan. I hope you find some comfort from your group. Thanks for being here with us tonight. I feel the same. Tristan's death, unexpected and tragic, changed me in every way possible. Mississippi Angel Sunrise. 11/21/08, sunset 11/26/24. Forever 16. Tristan is uh, an event coordinator for our storytelling summit happening in somewhere, I forget the actual place, Mississippi. It's near Biloxi. Uh, we can't wait to host Texas Pictures in Mississippi August 31st and September 1st. Yeah, it'll be epic. And it'll be Wiggins, Mississippi. That's the place. Wiggins, Mississippi. Okay. I remember we're going to be in Wiggins, Mississippi, August 31st to uh, and September 1st, recording stories that matter. Wow. I'm seeing the mic meter move when I swallowed my coffee. Sorry if that was a little creepy. I didn't realize that would happen. Okay. Have I missed any questions? My best friend's brother died by a drunk driver 17 years ago today. She still cries for him often. How to access the private face Maximus? What? Who are you, Maximus? You're this Dan Cat guy, right? We're friends now, so here we go. We'll just figure out how to make this happen. All right. If we're friends, all right. Okay. I'll get you an invite right now. All right. So Dan Cat, you should have received an invite to join the group. Hello, Achilles. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. I appreciate you being here. Brenda says, Carla, I'm doing better each and every day. If my sinuses don't clear up soon, I may ask Brad to drill a hole in my skull to relieve the pressure. Yeah, don't you hate that when it feels like all you need to fix it is a pointy stick? That's brutal, right? All right, so Dan Cat, who else should I be inviting? Who else should I be inviting to the group? Just tell me your name. Achilles, welcome. Tabitha, I don't know if I've invited you. There you go. Okay. All right, Tabitha, you should have an invite as well. Allie, I'm sending lots of love. Uh-oh. I've got to go, everybody. Thank you so much for sharing your stories and encouraging me. Thank you, Glenn, for everything. Tabitha, we'll talk soon. I sent you an invite to the Facebook group. So, where am I? Glenn, I have a question. What made you start this channel? There had to be a catalyst. Well, there's no simple answer for that. But I'll get back to it. Let me get caught up. I feel like I missed something over here. Marianne, thank you for joining us. Glad you're here. Achilles, glad you're here. Marianne, good evening, Marianne. I tried to send you a private group, but it won't let me. So, Maximus, you should have gotten a private invite to join the group. now. Ta-da! Yeah, I see you got it. There you go. Fucking technology, got to work around it. Janet Walker, thank you for joining us, Janet. Glad you're here. And let's see, Karma. Karma has a question. What made you start these channels, or had to be a catalyst? Then, you know, yeah, yeah. There was no. It was always. I always had a big interest in photography. I always had an interest in filmmaking. I studied journalism in college. I have a degree in journalism. And there is always this idea of the power of media to contribute, to do something that helps to make the world a better place. It's not about being a hero or getting attention. It's about contributing. And so over the course of my professional career, I started doing training and safety videos working for oil field service companies. And I got to travel all over the world. Literally, I've been to every continent on Earth except Antarctica on someone else's money. And I'm blessed. I've seen wonderful things. I've been enriched by all of that. And but there was always this passion, this thing in my heart about wanting to do things that help people. And once in a while I would get to do that with the oil companies. But this is really a lifelong dream for me to be doing these kinds of stories. Fentanyl poisoning, addiction recovery, human trafficking, domestic violence. I feel like I'm forgetting one. Cannabis induced psychosis. Uh, I'm in this spot where right now, I get to keep doing this. The fentanyl story started when the DEA hired Texas Pictures to create stories like this during a fentanyl family summit that happened here in Houston uh, almost 3 years ago now. And and that's where this began. So okay, let me check up. Let me try to catch up. Maybe Tabitha says I gotta go. Okay, Tabitha, I imagine you're gone by now. Tristan, what you just said about healing during events, I have so many parents contacting me wanting to just come and be there to try and heal with others suffering like they are. So it's really kind of up to you, uh, Tristan. Tristan, is that someone who? Because I'm thinking what I'm really hearing about is what I'm really hearing from Lisa. So, so sorry, I have to just send a code. Just takes a minute. I asked about hoodies. Yes, there's hoodies on in the merchandise store. Link to the merchandise stores on our website. So there's that. Let me see. What was I saying? So Tristan, also known as Lisa, I suspect. Uh, we always tell people that they're welcome, and it's also always a good idea to try to get media coverage of what we're doing as well. It's the kind of event that typically really appeals to the media because it's a big group of people coming together that all have stories that are all worth interviewing, and so media pounces on it usually or sometimes. So it's always good to try to get the media there too because it's a great opportunity to spread the word, to do an extra thing to increase more awareness. I see that Janet Walker retracted a message. I'm hoping it was like juicy or something. Tristan says, "What you just okay." Coffee cups. You're killing me, Carla. We do. Allie says, "Hi, Marianne." Achilles, thanks, Glenn. Glad to be here, Marianne. Oh, no, no, no. Achilles, spreading truth and awareness. Marianne, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Achilles, Brenda, indeed, totally agree. Fred Rogers. What? Fred Rogers? Is that the guy with the sweater who talks to puppets and sings? Might be good for me to talk to immigrants, uh, not to be political. Really? Not to be political? We're totally game for that. I don't know what the balance is, where to find the balance. That's a challenge with a topic like that. Uh, no, we don't turn people away. We have never turned anyone away. One day that could change. Probably will one day. But so far we have so far we have never turned anyone away. So certainly open to doing stories about immigrants. Yeah, but Fred Rogers, yeah, I get that it's a compliment, but it's the guy with the sweater who sings and talks to puppets, right? That's the guy. When I was a kid, I watched him. You be my neighbor. Yeah, him. Immigrants do go through a lot of trauma. When you say, Brad, no, they're just the pullover ones. No, but we do have hoodies. We have hoodies and sweatshirts and t-shirts and all that cool stuff. And we're gonna update it sometime very soon. Linda Wood. I live in a very small town whose police refuse to admit we have a drug problem. We could- we we might be able to help you with that. We have contacted law enforcement before. Typically, when we contact law enforcement for a for some sort of response or comment about anything involving drugs in their town or about a specific case, the typical response is absolutely nothing. But by contacting them, we have the opportunity to say that we tried and that we demonstrated the good effort to contact them to get their side, and they didn't respond. There's also been a couple of times when the agency did respond, and that was wonderful. She became a U.S. citizen, was born in Oceanside, California. I'm a U.S. citizen. I'm half white, half native. My father was very abusive. He destroyed my mother's documents when we were in Mexico. That's terrible. And then my aunt drove us through the border like nothing. Hmm. All right, so most importantly, I saw a trail of blood running down a wall, and it always stuck with me. Wow, that's rough. That's one of those permanent in your brain kind of visuals. Why did he get shot? Because he tried crawling over a wall, climbing over a wall. Hmm. So those I hadn't given much thought to any kind of an idea of having immigrant stories, but that sounds pretty powerful. And as I think about it, clearly there could be some really there could be some really impactful kind of stories and that kind of thing. Blessings, love, and peace to everyone. Gotta go. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. Absolutely right, Marianne. We should have, let's see, we should have more thumbs up than we have, I think. You know, that we've got 58 people listening right now and only 31 thumbs up right now. 58 people in the group right now. And over 400 people have been through the group since we started 75 minutes ago. More than 400 people have been through the group and only 32 likes. All right, all right. I see what you're saying. All right. Hey, Lisa, we can, thank you. Lisa, we can have a video conference with anyone who's going to be one of the storytellers when we get to the area. We could do a video conference sometime where we all have a chance to visit a little bit, and maybe I can answer their questions if they have any about how to be prepared, and which there is no how to be prepared. There is no uh they're welcome to ask questions, but it's easy. The topic isn't easy, but the process is. And so but we could do a video conference. Some of our summits we do that where in the video conference the storytellers that are interested in talking in advance can visit with each other and talk about how to uh, just talk about what to expect during the summit, during the visit, and that there's typically a dinner afterwards and all that cool stuff. And so I don't know if you can hear them or not, but yeah, so we could do that if you'd like. Time to expand, Glenn. Yeah, we're we're always expanding. We recently started a series on cannabis induced psychosis, and that series has been interesting just in terms of the kind of reaction it draws from people who are looking to defend cannabis. The big one, sorry. So let me just, I'm just going to switch my mic off for just a second here and say something. Okay, so we're always open to expanding. We're also working on an idea that is centered around missing children and another one about mental illness. Immigrant, we have something like the cannabis induced psychosis series. Cannabis defenders tend to use that to decide that we must be a conservative kind of media thing. And so to have a story about, have a series about immigrant stories, that's the other side of the aisle for sure, right? So that would be very confusing to some of our, which is funny to me because we would have, yeah, yeah, I think that'd be great. Well, that's just me. I'm being a troublemaker, I think. So what else? What other kind of questions you guys have? We are going to wrap it up pretty soon, but I always like like to put it out, ask for questions, see what else is going on. I bet there's something I've missed on Facebook right now. So Dan, Ken, I'll get back to you after we sign off here. And I see there's Lisa. She's in the group now. Carla, maybe you could do follow ups with the long term effects of grief and child loss. Yeah, I think that doing follow ups in general with our storytellers is a great idea. I don't I don't know how long it has to be before it qualifies as long term grief. Really, I don't. I only have limited experience with people who have gone years. but it doesn't seem to change. Do a follow up on the long term effects of grief and child loss. Child loss is the big thing. I think that is such a, a brutal, it's a brutal kind of loss. Don't sell out on children being protected. I don't know what that means. I have several friends in my age group that will probably defend cannabis forever, unfortunately. Well, Viola, yeah, I knew it too. That was part of the appeal that any engineer will tell you that friction means something is being accomplished. And there is a lot of friction around the Cannabis series. It's kind of hilarious. The cannabis defending people are more likely to have multiple comments, one right after the other, but each entered individually. So there'll be a row of like 6 or 8 comments. They're more likely to be misspelled, have misspelled words, and and most of them say, "Oh yeah, but what about alcohol?" And that's just, oh yeah. Don't sell out on children being protected. So karma, I don't quite understand what that means. Devastating to the core, right? Understandable. Yep. You guys should watch some of the cannabis stories. Two of the stories are interviews with physicians, and they have interesting things to say and kind of informed. And then, or just read the comments. Holy cow. People are not abducting children, it's their own family. Well, I imagine both is true, but it's certainly a weird area, and we've been learning a bit about it. And I hope that when we are shooting stories in Phoenix, some of them will relate to missing children. Don't sell fear. I totally agree, Karma. Selling fear is morally wrong. It's really inhumane and dishonest. Over the last 30 years, crime rates in this country have dropped dramatically. And no one's willing to even accept that. Uh, No, no, not Glenn. It's a fact. I don't know which it is a fact. That's true. So many people expect you to do better after a year or two, but time makes things worse. Ken Paxton or John Cornyn for U.S. Senate. I've met I've met John Cornyn. I have not met Ken Paxton. And so there's a natural tendency to go for the one you know. But no. Yeah, Lisa, it really seems like it's going to be an awesome event. Lisa says Mississippi, Gulfport, Biloxi area, Wiggins, MS, Tristan's Memory Matters Foundation, hosting Texas Pictures. That's us. And that is near, am I saying this accurately geographically? It's between Biloxi and Gulfport. Uh, it's been 2 years since I've lost Rain, and the pain in the heart feels the same as the day I lost my baby girl. Here's Carla. Here's. I think it evolves. It isn't that it changes. It doesn't go away. I talked earlier about the woman in Sacramento who lost her daughter 40 years ago. It doesn't go away. But what does happen, I think, is over time you develop skills to process it and to manage it that don't require denying it, that don't require forgetting about it, just how to manage it, how to tuck it away safely and hold it back there when you need to. Brad says, my hope is Carla can find some kind of happiness in her lifetime. She has 3 kids who need to see that. There's something to that. That being in a spot where you have 3 kids that are dependent on learning about finding happiness by what they see you do. It's really a blessing of a place to be. I've set up a meet and greet Sunday night by the pool with refreshments and visiting with others, and that is actually open to the public to come to. Well, that's awesome. There could be maybe a couple of posters or something or whatever, and that sounds awesome. A series of children being violated would be dumb considering the fact that most of I think probably the challenge with that karma would be just the just the basics of getting through YouTube censors. I have served on a jury. I served on a civil jury, and it was I was the I was the foreman, and they didn't call it foreman. They called us in a civil court. It's called the presiding juror, at least in Texas. And I was the presiding juror, and we were deadlocked. Didn't get anywhere. Lisa says, when I say Lisa, I'm talking about Tristan. I'm 50 years old, and Tristan's death at barely 16 changed my emoji. My grief deepens daily, and it doesn't get better or even stay the same. It gets worse. I think that makes sense because every day you're able to go a little deeper into your grief. They're only they're the only reasons I'm still here. I exist for them, but I have no happiness. A piece of my heart is gone forever, at least on this side of heaven. Mayo Clinic long term effects of marijuana use by adolescents. One of the many things I need, one of the many things I read to Tristan over the 15 years of his life, a drug overdose, a drug of overdose at all, I never saw coming. Just bourbon, just coffee. So, Carla, I see you laugh once in a while. I see you smile, and I realize that your laughter and your smiles are restrained a little bit, but I see them in person. And it makes me so happy to see those little glimmers. I really want everyone to understand, as far as topics that we go, that we cover, topics that we address, we're open to anything. Well, any kind of story that matters. If some storyteller wants to, if someone who likes to dress up like a Dalmatian and wants to identify as a dog, that's not a story that matters. So far, we haven't turned anyone away. So we're open to whatever kind of story. 25 miles north of Biloxi and Gulfport. Lisa, we'll make maybe tomorrow we can make an announcement on our channel and uh our Facebook page is Facebook pages. Hmm. Thank you, Viola. You tell them. I have a straw. See, I have water here in this awesome Texas Pictures tumbler. It's kind of hard to see, I guess, but how do I do this? If I do that like that, how does that work? Is that getting there? Can you kind of see it? It's kind of yeah. Is it that's cool, right? So there's that, and this is water, and then here Texas Pictures mug that on the back says stories that matter, and that's coffee. It's a little extra good because it's coffee that my wife made for me. How cool is that? So Lisa says, thank you, Carla. And I'm sorry about the loss of rain. Water and coffee are my favorites. All right, folks, but it is getting to be about time to wrap it up, don't you think? We have been here for, wow. See, I was thinking we should try to start limiting these to under an hour. And here we are at almost an hour and 40 minutes. Tristan Lisa says, my friends want me to find peace as well. Brad, I don't think that exists anymore. I tell my friends that. There's a video out there of Billy Bob Thornton talking about grief, about losing his brother, I believe. And Brenda with her wonderful closing message. Everyone, what you take for granted, someone else is praying for. That's such a profound thing. People should really think about that. Have it tattooed on the inside of your eyelid so it's right in front of you while you sleep. What you take for granted, someone else is praying for. Good job, Brenda. Good night. Good night, Brenda. So it is time to wrap it up, folks. I want to thank everyone for being a part of this. And holy cow, we've got 60 people with us right now. 62. Of course, because we're wrapping it up, the number's going to climb a little bit more, and so that's how it seems to go. But it is time to wrap it up. We've been here an hour and 40 minutes, and about, about it's about that time, I think. So we are going to try to limit these to an hour in the future, and we're probably going to pick a night of the week where we do this regularly, where like maybe every Sunday night or every Monday night or whenever, where we do this regularly and limit them to an hour. It just seems like we go through these bouts of being so incredibly productive, and there's all this growth and sharing that's happening between you guys that uh, that I wind up hating to cut it off. So thank you, Linda, and thank you everyone else. So I want to remind everyone that you guys are always welcome to reach out to us. That to bring up our magical closing graphic, I will remind you that you are welcome to reach out to us by email at info@texas-pictures.com. You can also find me on Facebook under my name, Glenn Muse. It's right there. And you can find us under the company name Texas Pictures. We're on TikTok, and you can also visit our website, texas-pictures.com. And on our website, you'll find a page devoted to explaining how to share your story. There's another page that's devoted to how to create a storytelling summit in your area. There's a link to our merchandise store that Brad and Carla are always so eager to ask about. And there's more information about us, like our mailing address and phone number, and how we've evolved, and other work samples that don't have anything to do with the stuff on Facebook or the stuff on YouTube. Thank you, Karma. Love you guys. Always here for you guys. So please join us next time, which is probably going to be Tuesday. I don't know for sure. For now, thank you all for joining us, and good night.